Welcome to Tales of Brazil. In this channel, we tell the history of Brazil through a conservative point of view in form of small tales. In the first 4 chapters of this channel, that I call Season 1, I will tell you a tale of a democratic Brazil. This is the episode 1, where I give you the status on economic freedom. If you want to know why I chose this subject, or want to know what democratic Brazil is, please take a look at the video above. So, let's continue. A Tale of Democratic Brazil, Part 1. What economic freedom? As I said on the other chapter, on the prologue, I elected 3 freedoms to tell about economic freedom, the right to self-defense, the guaranteed right to self-defense, or the guaranteed free speech. Okay? So, let's start. We have no economic freedom at all in Brazil. We have constitution and law are Marxists in philosophy and fascist in implementation. Our laws micromanage people's economic life with more than 73 different taxes that require companies to hire armies of accountants and lawyers with costs in average 2,000 man-hours a year just to deal with the bureaucracies. And as I said, all the laws, the rule of law, are federal in Brazil. Nowadays, with 200 million people, right? It's quite mad because the law does not conform to each of the states or even cities, right? Almost all aspects of working contracts have strict federal laws. Yes, with sometimes costs as high as 100% of the salary paid. It means when you pay a salary to someone, you have to pay one for the person for his consumption and other for the government to pay the bureaucracy. Yes, and we are the land of the special judiciary systems. We have a special judiciary system only for the law, the working law, right? And it's highly judicialized, right? We have the if you count only the process that are opened to deal with working law, we have the highest count in the world. It's hilarious. So, independent of the economic of each state, a national minimum wage is applied. Yes, we have a huge informal market due to that. Yes, it's really crazy. It's really crazy. It all started in the 50s with Getúlio Vargas after he returned as elected president. It's crazy. And as a result of all the populism we saw in Brazil and the monopolies and state-owned companies, more than 50% of the Brazil's GDP depend directly on a politician decision, either from tax expense or by state-owned companies. The state-owned companies are in average 25% of the stock exchange volume. It's huge. It's a huge part of Brazil, and now depending on a politician decision. And as we all know, and that's more common, highly regulated markets such as banks, the telecom industry, the traditional media can be very prone to be influenced by the politicians. Yes? And here in Brazil, we have seen cases of corruption because of these regulations, right? Including involving Lula as well. So as we could see, and when I talk about economic freedom, I'm talking about the concept stated by the think tank Heritage Foundation, right? And here, economic captivity means full power to the politicians. Yes, that's how it is. The result is that in 2018, considering the 15 highest populated countries in that Heritage Economic Freedom ranking, Brazil is the third worst country, right? As a result of his history. Yes. Monopoly of state always results in corruption. We have seen that in every single socialist country, right? And Brazil had the worst cases of corruption all over the world, found by Operation Car Wash starting in 2010, with repercussions all over Latin America, even taking ex-President Lula to prison due to those corruptions, right? Among the Workers' Party executives as well, among other politicians and other ex-presidents all over Latin America. Huge, yes. So due to the how Brazil was built, the laws needed for a stable coin as money didn't exist until 1994, and in 1994, by influence of the of international organizations, we started to do some small reforms, and then our current currency, real, was created. Yes. After that, we had some good economic results from 94 to 2010, mainly fueled by public debt, crony capitalism, yes, and international tides. So, of course, with a stable coin, we had more economic freedom, but as we see from the result I just said, it wasn't that much of a freedom, right? But the result was quite good, right? But not as good as if I were to reach developed country, right? And due to the corruption and to the misguiding of this public debt, we had the worst performance from 2010 to 2018, right? Due to how the 2008 crisis, world crisis, was steered, and how the economic freedom was dealt with. It was worse than the Great Depression in 1929, right? So what happened next? In 2019, Bolsonaro was elected, right? He was elected as the first conservative elected president in the history of Brazil, right? We could say that in the history of the democratic Brazil, yes, the recent history, right? So that's huge. So he started doing reforms in the name of economic freedom, and that we never seen before, right? He hires Paulo Guedes, that was in Chile during the Pinochet rule. Now he's a banker, He is a Chicago boy. He rules for he roots for economic freedom in a Chicago style. Yes, and his role was to reduce the state role in the economics, right? But his battle is cruel because it's all in the law, and the law easy things to the politicians. So politicians have their economic success due to the rule of law, to the current rule of law. So nothing changes, right? He stops funding the media through the state-owned companies that are monopolies. Yes, the previous presidents, Lula, Dilma, and Temer, they used the monopolies, the state-owned companies, to buy the media opinion. Yes, they spent lots of money on that. Yes, so he stops funding the media through that way because we don't have money. After 2018, we didn't have any money to be spent that way. So he stopped that. He hires highly technical staff, not politicians, to manage the state-owned companies, and he blocks corruption. In 2 years of government, he had no corruption denunciation of significant amount, right? During Dilma and Lula, we had it said that if you count every corruption, we had more than $50 billion of corruption during the PT era, right? So we didn't have not a 1/10 or 100th we have insignificant amount comparing to that, right? And his views were so different from the fascist Marxist current law and standards that the Congress blocked almost all of Bolsonaro-sponsored initiatives, right? And I would say that it was to keep their powers intact. And he was crowned with a strong rejections by politicians and the media. Yes, I think that it was, from what I saw in the news, similar to what happened to President Trump in the USA. Yes. So, as we saw, we have no economic freedom in Brazil, right? In the next episode, I will tell you how the guaranteed right to self-defense is dealt with in Brazil. What do you think? Do we have right of self-defense in Brazil or not? Please give your comments and we will see each other in the next episode.